What if you could see, feel, touch, taste, and hear a faraway, distant space and time? What if you could enter there without even knowing where you have gone? Stepping into an empty white canvas, flooded in your senses by impressions of what there surrounds you? Free to explore with your mind an unknown place, to only find out to where you were sent after you returned again. We call this remote viewing, the use of extrasensory perception to obtain information about a distant place, and we do it blind without knowing ahead of time to where we are sent. This is the target tasking and feedback picture. The Phoenix Lights. Tasking. View the giant UFO that flew over Phoenix, Arizona on March 13, 1997. Describe the occupants and their motivation for flying over the city. A tasker chose this target for me to remote view, but did not tell me anything about the target until afterwards. I was only given the target number to look at. I recorded my impressions, and I sent my impressions to the tasker. The tasker then sent me the target feedback. Here follows an illustrated version of my session material. Everything you are about to see and hear is based on impressions that I had before it was revealed to me what the target was. Sturdy, almost arrogant. Nobody goes there, something could break in there. We do not feel hope here. It is not a nice place. No resonance chime. It is more of a darkness. No life forms, no gold or metals. Cannot be shifted. Is extending upwards. We cannot fall down from it either. Too heavy to lift. No mechanics grease on it. Scratchy on the outside surface. No embers of life forms inside. Not cold, but icy hot. Nothing pleasant on it. No chairs inside for anyone to sit on. Resonance shine like solid metal. Hot burning angry. A fugitive captive. No life forms on it, but somebody goes inside. A resignation matter. A fuming mess. A fury. A glory. Somebody cannot get out. Not soft. A glowing light on top. No warning lights. No collectible items. Too heavy to lift. Stuck as if lodged. A glory that no one likes. Not in water. Not allegedly captured. Not spinning around. Not moving about. Not solid, they disintegrate. Not fuming, not steaming, not equipped with anything. Not palatable. Not an edible substance. Not made out of wood. Not captive, not a holograph. Not heavy, not massive. Not filled with life forms. Not of glass. Not equipped with water inside. Light and airlight, like a veil. Some water moisture up in the air above it. Not mendable if they break. Something soft inside. Life form. He feels chased around. He feels fugitive. He doesn't want to be here. He feels a mess. No metals around him. He doesn't feel well here. He wants to leave. He is not a constable or a general. He is not angry at me, not wanting to be moved around, not in water, not moving about. Is listening to this place, not in the light, not calm, not a messy man. He likes to be here, not.
Why are you trying to tickle me?
The man asks me as I touch across him. A man is running around here frantically.
I am driving around in my car, and I am going to go home.
He seems frantic and hectic and emotionally upset. It has many arms to the sides like metal, looks like rigid steel bars of a dark gray or brownish color. Oh my God, those are the boards from earlier, aren't they? They must be. Not a device that was manufactured, it is scrap metal. Nobody resides in it. The bars are bent to the sides. The device with the bars sits on the ground. The man sits next to it. He has a face that has many vertical lines and with a pointy gnome hat. He looks at the device. A steering wheel is not found inside. Somebody goes inside the craft and looks around. I'm almost entirely sure that it was the gnome man. There is a life form here who is dancing around, and he doesn't want me to know what he is doing. Some kind of industrial smell of burned plastic. We are inside of a huge modern building. It is a weapons and missiles facility. There is a very frustrated man. He is stomping on the ground. There is a long string that has gotten caught up over his face or horizontally across and over his throat under the chin. This building feels like a bank. There is massive amounts of money here. Same building as before, which was described as weapons and missiles building.
Yes? Can I help you? Do you want something?
The man is found sitting by the desk in an office. There are no weird 1960s plastics or colors, and I would say that it looks like contemporary times. Assembly, modeling pieces. This is the answer I get when I run my finger across his desk to see what kind of work is being done here. I get the feeling that small pieces are assembled together on his desk, kind of like when architects assemble small pieces to build a model of a structure, or when putting pieces together to build a small model airplane. The man at the desk feels no rage when he is working, though he has had thoughts about quitting this job.
Get out. I don't want my money. Get out! This place is about to go down!
Our object is a metallic gray device that can be steered manually. I find it indoors in a large room. The man is standing next to it. The object is not really big and is set on the floor of the room, kind of the size of a small tub.
Don't try to talk with us.
We don't want to give you any food, but are you hungry?
What are you doing here? Get out of here!
One of the tall men seemed to say this to me. He is not happy. This man is a stern personality. He is not working here. He doesn't have a job here. He is the overseer here. Emotions are impudence, arrogance, businesslike. Thoughts are about engagements, meaning things to do and commitments.
I got to get home somehow. This place is not nice to me. We just bounce around from job to job.
What kind of job does no man think about? Something to do with heat, thermodynamics, and aerodynamics. Aerodynamics relevance, how to stay afloat in the air, how to use keys and switches, heat riding airwaves, not to collide into other objects, no heat flow transfer.
Oh well, I gotta go and read the newspaper.
The gnome man at the pane of glass doesn't like to be looked at when I look at his face. He feels angry and grumpy about me looking at him. He frowns.
What are you trying to see?
I am just looking at your face.
No, quit doing it. Help! Help! I need help here!
Calm down, why are you so nervous?
I would like to ask you the same.
Where is this place? Perhaps I'm lost?
You are at a research facility.
What kind of research?
Mobility machines. Mobility units. We don't have anything else here for you. We would like you to leave. We are sorry. Help! She is looking at me. We put these swivel chairs in.
Where do you put them?
Come. We will show you. Come down these stairs. Are you getting paid here?
No, I am not.
Would you like to be?
Yes, please. What kind of job do you have for me?
We need your residential papers. Are you aware of that fact? The resident status. And the rest of it. Are you good at listening and hearing? I see you are.
I guess so, but not really. I tend to be distracted, looking around.
So, you are not a perfect fit then.
What job would it be for me?
Taking notes and stuff.
I could do that.
Well then, we have these for you.
He laughs, and would you believe it or not, he smiles. He shows me 2 or more bright orange plastic things that papers are stacked inside of. So it is paperwork he had in mind for me.
It is for filing. I want those filed now!
I wish to take my first day at work for looking around and getting familiar with the facility, please. I would like to see a tour of the place and inspect the research.
No, you will not do that.
Very organized writing. Settlements?
You could be our filing clerk.
He says to me and interrupts as I'm reading the papers. I sure could.
Come on then. I need this paperwork done today.
How do I sneak out of here?
Can you do it today? I am expecting you to. I need it done by 12 o'clock.
Let me read them first.
We have a roster of attendees. You need to sign in on a clipboard. I am sorry I asked you to be our file clerk. You are clearly inspecting the place.
Heavy lifting cranes, industrial operations. Radio wave telemetry. Radio control, tower mast. Ground control tower. I had the sense that it is a tower that sends out messages and signals to control vehicles or other operations at some distance away, and that this tower happens to be on the ground, or who knows, that it sends messages to things on the ground. Actually, I do not know what it meant. Someone is climbing up a ladder real quickly here outdoors near the cistern. A dirty surroundings. Dusty, stale, and full of rubber material. There is a white tunnel opening where cars can drive underground. The main element object is somewhere here nearby.
I told you not to come here.
The angry man tells me, and he grabs one of my ears and pulls my ear angrily because he is angry at me. The lobby turns out to be a welcome and reception area. From the welcome reception area, we can see that the side that is opposite side from the wall of windows has huge, massive doors that are open. It is the kind of doors that are like emergency exit doors with a bar on one side, and through those open doors, we see straight into a big room, which has lots of chairs lined up and facing toward a stage. The stage is at the far end wall when we look into the room. There is some kind of music heard from the stage, though I do not see any, or maybe only a few people seated on those chairs. A ceremony, a reception hall area, a united people. I sit down on one of the front row seats in the room that has all the red chairs, and I sit with crossed legs so that one leg is over the other knee, and I look forward toward the stage. And then this man shows up and he tells me,
You were going to go to a cubicle and sort my papers through.
a man with a strange hat. The gnome hat turns out to be some sort of a military hat, I think. It has one pointy, larger part on the front center, and I think two smaller pointy parts on either side. The hat itself is kind of like a beret, so that it is softer and sunken in a bit in the top center on the head, and maybe that it had a solid firm round around its bottom. And there was a yellow round flat emblem on the front side. Isn't this marvelous? When something as strange as a man wearing a pointy gnome hat, and you go with it, and later it turns out into more detail and turns out to be what looks to be a military hat. Main structure has thin reflective blades to the side, spinning motor at those blade extensions, heat generated near the top of the structure, spinning rotor near the top of the structure, heat waves emanated. This structure is locked up in a facility, is held in an indoor space, and it seems to be on the floor of that room. Wagon cart that is next to main structure has lots of papers inside it. Inside are emanation devices. A cover lid can be used to seal this wagon from the top, like a cover that could go over the top to enclose the interior space fully. A cooling device is inside the wagon, a massive radiation emanation which emanates from the wagon and out and away from the wagon. A nonsensical design. An equipment design is hazardous. It has many feverish engineers working on it, trying to remodel it differently. It is set on landing spikes, meaning the wagon is resting mounted on two or more diagonal outward leaning legs that are holding it in place and holding it slightly up from touching the floor. It doesn't move anymore, but it once did move. It has not crashed or collided landed. It does not bathe in any water or liquid. It is not a hazardous, dangerous equipment. It has not hurt anybody. Inside the wagon is very cold temperature, cool. Interior cavities are filled with ropes that are touching things. Remember the wire that went across the chin of the man early in session. This is the same rope again. This wire is not electrically conducting. No stop mechanisms or landing sites. A sealed massive ember. Wagon is right next to the other main object. Wagon is bluish reflective on exterior surface. Function main object, to block things from happening. To make things not take place. The function or purpose is not to emanate heat, but it emanates heat anyway, even though that is not its purpose. It is not a traveling device. It is not a keepsake, meaning it is not something that somebody found it. It is not mechanic in nature, it just is, and it resides here. How does main object stop things from happening? It is the kind of object that does it. It makes wonderful things happen. It makes a resounding chime, and it can block people's minds. It makes people think differently, and it can also cause a confusion and chaos in people. It doesn't hang from the ceiling anymore, but at one time it does. It is strapped onto a car roof. It is made to be a part of another vehicle. It makes people feel mayhem. It has many orifices that are filled with stuff, like golden glistening and other manual operating mechanisms. It is a solid liquid inside, meaning its inner materials could at one point be made to be liquid, but are at this time in a solid nature, so that they can be designed differently. That is why. Function wagon. It is a supporting device. It makes many things happen because of it. It is cold and glistening. It has many straps or bands on it. These bands make it not turn around, because otherwise it would wobble. It is filled with a liquid inside. The liquid is a cooling agent. It repels heat. The cooling liquid is needed for its inner mechanisms internally. It carries a liquid inside, which is filled within its spaces. It doesn't spin around anymore, and it doesn't drop. It was made to be a fraction of a device, a part as opposed to a whole, an accessory, like a component and not its own thing. It is an ice cooling device. It is made to keep other things at liquid state, as opposed to gas state presumably, as when things get hotter, they are a gas, and if a gas is kept colder, it would be a liquid. Omission of expenses. A very cheap design.
There is nothing here for you.
The man with the lines on his face stands with a rigid, proper posture and has his hands gently behind his lower back. He wears the military type of hat as seen before. He speaks calmly this time and does not sound angry. He said this to me, I am sure.
Why do you insist on coming here? I do not understand you, miss. You are beginning to wear on my nerves. I am not an imbecile. I know what you are doing.
What am I doing then?
I am not an imbecile. I know.
Then tell me what you think I am doing, and I will tell you if you are correct. The man loses his temper easily. He gets frustrated at nobody. He likes to feel well at home. He likes resting. He doesn't eat much. He very easily loses his appetite. He likes better to have things done than to do them. He likes when things have already been done rather than when he has to do things.
The Center of Intelligence wanted to talk with you.
Take it easy with me now. I don't want to look or sound like a jerk.
The Center of Intelligence wants to do some studies with you. If you do not mind, I hope you do not mind.
I am in a remote viewing session. Unless you are from the target?
I like chocolate taffy. I bet you know that. I mean, God, you pick up everything.
Yeah, I tend to know what a person would like to eat.
What is your target?
I don't know yet. I don't have feedback yet.
Would you like to know?
I will find out later today. Someone says to me, we don't want you to feel well with this man because he could be an agent, and refers obviously either to the main character man or to the center man.
We don't like spies.
I'm just doing a target.
Yes, that's what we mean. So you don't need to know what I like to eat, or any of it.
So, you!
The main character man gets angry and yells this at me as I try to look at his face.
Do not damage her in any way. We just want to see what she is doing.
Someone else who is none of the men I have had so far, because the mind feels different and the body looks different, refers to me. And he said this to someone else.
You haven't been taped before. We are taping this.
The new man says to me, it seems taped would mean recording.
We don't want trouble with you. Now get!
The main character man said to me. He sounds angry. Someone says to me, do you think this is a game to you? This is a remote viewing session to me, I say. We don't want to be the target, someone says. We see the main character man sitting by his desk in the office. He has his hands in front of him and is working on a small model that is assembled with pieces put together. He looks exactly like on the drawing I made that has no hat on. I guess he takes his hat off when he is in the office. Turns out that he has modeled the significant objects that we have in this session. I get down on my knees on the floor inside this building, and I put my hands on a long, what looks like a spiky green wire that goes across the floor. The right side of the wire ends in a roll on the floor, in which the wire is coiled around and ends that way. This wire conveys sound.
We have you on film, you know. We have video surveillance.
The wire goes across the floor, and it conveys sound to a mechanics. What does the sound in the wire do? It functions as a processing unit. It goes to the main object. The wire is filled with cotton. The cotton in the wire adds a resilience. It creates a friction. The wire has no silica inside. Nobody steps on the wire.
What are you? A mouse gnawing on that thing? I told you to get. I see you gnawing on that thing. Get out of here. I mean it.
He raises one hand and holds it back, just like if he was showing that he's about to hit me. Why are you angry at me?
We will sort this out later. Excuse me now.
There is no static in the wire, and nothing that static could cling to in the wire. Static would mean static electricity or electric charge buildup, meaning once again, it is not electrically conducting or even able to hold onto an electric charge buildup. There are bookshelves in this room that has the wire and main object. Old styles and designs are in the bookshelf, like written on paper manuals, thin booklets. How to do assembly is written in one of the booklets or is the title.
It won't rain on you, but if you set the sprinkler alarm off...
I go to his desk and read the papers on his desk.
Are you looking for the filing cabinet?
I will find it. Airplane plans, model figurines. I see the picture on the paper on the desk. It is of a device that sure enough has the plank boards on top of it, like two side-by-side rectangular boards going to each of opposite sides from the top of the object. This, of course, turns out to be what our main object looks like. The structure on the paper on his desk is a modeling template. I mean, as a drawing on the paper or a picture on the paper. Unless there is also a small model, as we have seen him building a small model out of pieces before.
Now, girl, get!
He raises the hand again as if to hit. It is not a template. This is the real thing, RV says when I'm inspecting and find a larger structural component. So now I am really at the real object. So my drawing showcases both the modeling template as well as also the real object. Under the two brown standing feet of the device, there are crunchy, crispy silver as small pieces.
Girl! Get yourself out of here!
Lots of wires go across the floor at the structure, rotor blades. Main object has heat, and away from the object is cold. It looks like the object is fastened to the wall. The floor underneath is shiny. It is those same large, thin tile squares of a light gray color which are highly reflective. There are lots of papers written about this object. Those papers are in the bookshelf of the office. Papers and bookshelf, how to mount and assemble, how to not lose any energy, how to commit to equipment, novel designs, how to assemble pieces in a team, like a team of many people assembling it, the focal point of our energy mass, how to connect this piece to that part, how to make pieces fuse together, how to prevent manic meltdown, how to disconnect pieces again, how to prevent heat dissipation on mechanics, how to allow cool down, how to connect and assemble the rotor blades, how to prevent wetness on the lower parts, how to do good acclimatization, how to screw on things properly, how to put the rotor blades together properly. Function of main object. It has to avoid wetness. Rainwater can kill it. The acclimatization fuse breaks if rainwater gets on it. The main object has to be hung up or mounted up on something else. It feeds information through channels. It goes into cities and travels there in cities. It is brought out sometimes for public display. It has robotic parts inside. It captivates an audience of people. It sends a beam of light that other people can see. The main object has an operating theater inside. Go inside the operating theater. Music is playing here. They play a lot of music here. It almost sounds like a theater hall. The sounds are echoing across the walls. There is a device on the floor. This place houses people and traps them, as there seems to be no way to get out. Something spins around under me. Under the floor of the operating theater, there are rotor blades that are huge and are slowly spinning around. They are not in the room, but under the floor outside of the room. There are buckets here filled with ricin. Big barrels, several in this operating theater. These barrels contain what register as ricin, and yes, I know that ricin is a severe toxin. Function of the ricin in the barrels in operating theater. Obliterate enemies. Put ricin in enemies' eyes. Hotness. It desiccates. A functionality disorder. Why do they have ricin in barrels in operating theater? To put it on a person, to make an enemy weak, to make the enemy fall apart. So it is a chemical weapon to be used against life forms, presumably humans, that are deemed as enemies. I am in the operating theater, which is inside the main structure. There is a city below me. The city is black, modern, reflective skyscrapers with shiny windows. But it appears that I am in the sky, but close to those buildings. There is a massive sail canvas on the outside, like a beige, large sailboat canvas.
Whose idea was it to let her come here?
There is a small red fire extinguisher against the wall outside of the operating theater. Something spins around under me. The whole floor revolves. I see the huge gray rotor blades underneath me under the floor of the operating theater. The whole craft looks like this. This is the main object element. The operating theater is in there, as well as the upstairs floor with the window that looks down into the operating theater, and the main man with the military hat who usually stands in the upstairs area with the window to the operating theater behind him.
I am really proud of my profession.
What profession is that?
I assemble these things here.
Military man. Sweaty forehead. No glasses needed. Not a constable. Doesn't do many things, is rather lazy.
What are you doing?
Measuring. I am doing air tracing from his face. The man calms down after I had said that what I am doing at his face is measuring, and he lets me do it and stays calm. I then laugh or giggle a bit, and then he responds this way as follows.
All right. I don't appreciate what you are doing.
The military man says as I am measuring his head with air tracing. Summary before feedback. The main element is an object. The outside of the object appears to be a light blue color and is somewhat bowl-shaped. The object has a top cover that has been placed on top of it. The top cover bulges upward, forming a sealed object of an almost round shape. On the outside of the object, there are several long rectangular flat boards attached to it. There is also a V-shaped structure attached to the outside of the object, which forms two curved legs. The object can be placed on the ground such that it is a bit above the floor and is resting on those legs, so that the legs make contact with the ground beneath it. Underneath the object on the outside, there is a large system of slowly rotating wide rotor blades. The device is not allowed to get wet. Water would damage the acclimatization fuse. There is an interior space inside the device. There is a large building in a big modern city. This building is a weapons and missiles facility. It has a large entrance hall, where we see a balcony on one floor up. The balcony is facing into the entrance hall area. There is a large operating theater, which is either inside this building or otherwise inside our device. In this operating theater, there are several barrels containing a toxic substance, which can be used as a chemical weapon against enemy life forms, presumably humans. The operating theater spans across 2 floors. The doors in the operating theater are all locked, and there is no way to get out from there. The rotating blades that are underneath the device are directly underneath the operating theater floor, and the entire operating theater floor is turning around, making it seem that this room is contained within the device. On the first floor up there is a window which looks down into the operating theater, which spans from the 1 floor below and up to this floor with high to the ceiling. There is a large welcome or reception hall area, which has one wall that has lots of windows facing to the city landscape and some green leafy trees. This reception area has lots of sofas and some tables. The operating theater has also been seen at one time with lots of small red chairs that look like dining room chairs in rows and lines, and a stage on the front of the room, and music is always heard playing in this operating theater, as well as when it was seen with the chairs and the stage at the front. The doors to this operating theater are the kind of large push doors with a horizontal bar on the outside side. The main life form is a human man who is very tall. He has unusually long legs. His face is long and narrow and has many vertical lines across the face. He has short brown hair. The hair is not flat against the head, but stands out a bit. He has a tall, pointy hat, which looks like a military officer's hat. He is a very angry type of personality. He has an office here, where he sits by the desk and assembles a small modeling template of our main object, either a smaller version of it or the actual object itself. His job is to assemble pieces together into structures. We find many booklets in his office with clear instructions on how to assemble parts to build a structure. At one time, We find our main object out on a meadow on the countryside, and the man is there to see it. There are a lot of black mountains in the area, as well as some green land and bright green, large, leafy tree forests. Some villages and settlements where people live, and the area which has our main building. We see heavily trafficked roads with cars. We also find our man driving in a car in that traffic. There is a tunnel which leads down underground, where we find a staircase that leads up directly into our building. The city has modern buildings that appear dark and tall with many floors and windows and looks like a large city. The main emphasis of this target is on the device, as well as that the man has assembled the device